Okay, welcome back everyone. So today we are going to talk about a very interesting thing is that suppose you are working in the application and where you have received a requirement like that you have to add something into the DDL query. Like in the applications that we are having a couple of DDL queries we are adding like creating a table or adding a new column into the table, right? So we are implementing this kind of things using our manual kind of process or using liquibase kind of things which are used for migrating our SQL scripts into the another different environment of databases. Okay, so in this cases when you are adding your SQL query which are a DDL queries, like creating a table or adding a column into a particular table, this type of queries you have to create as a defensive queries. What do you mean by defensive? Suppose that if you are creating a column into a particular table, then you have to make a particular check before creating it that this particular column is already exist in this particular table. If exist, don't create it, and if it does not exist, then only create it. Okay, you have to, this is called as a defensive programming, where we are implementing this defensive programming paradigm into with respect to the SQL queries, so that you have to make a, you have to give a check that this, you have to apply a check on that this column is exist or not, and after that take a decision to apply, create this, add this column into the table or not. The advantage is that suppose that in particular database you have first time executed that column, and suppose you didn't create this kind of queries as a defensive, then by mistake if you execute that particular column into that particular query into the same kind of database, and if you are not using liquibase kind of things, then what will be the happen that this query will be failed. Okay, it will be break because the column is already has been exist, so that it will tell you that okay, column is already been exist, you can't create it. But if you create a defensive query, then it will not break it, your application, this query generation process will not break it, because we have done a defensive programming, we have created a defensive query which will check that okay, this query, this particular column is already has been exist into this table, I will not fire this particular creating a column or adding a column kind of query, because you have applied a check. This is called a defensive programming with respect to the query. The same kind of thing is that we can do with the creating table kind of things. You can apply a check that if the table is not exist, then only fire this query which is a DDL query of creating a table. And if it does not exist, if it is exist, then don't fire this particular DDL query of creating a table. And if it is exist, then please don't. If it is not exist, fire it. If it is exist, don't fire it. This kind of check we are applying on the queries, then it is called as a defensive kind of programming with respect to the query. The advantage is that we are also creating scenarios where our code will be work into the negative scenarios as well. Okay, this is crucial. You have to also apply this defensive paradigm kind of things into the different areas of your programming with respect to another languages level or framework level or any kind of level. You can apply this paradigm. Yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much.